allegedly with none other than Kevin Stefanski with the locker room. Basically, people were saying the reason Kevin Stefanski's gone because he lost control of the locker room. People ain't feeling him. Now, it's no secret that Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Rees was very, very close, bruh. Now, we think a lot of iffy things going on, man, with Tommy Rees regarding Shedeur, too, dog. Like, he seemed like he was on the Kevin Stefanski hype line, bruh, when it comes to this whole Shedeur not receiving first team reps, when it comes to Shedeur and the whole Dylan Gabriel battle.
Well, we talked to Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Rees today all about Shedeur Sanders and what he has planned for Shedeur on Sunday. He's expecting some really, really good things from Shedeur on Sunday, based in part on what he saw when he went in there in the second half against the Ravens. He liked the fact that he hung in there, that he fought, and that he gave the Browns a chance to win at the end. He did what quarterbacks are supposed to do. He put the ball in the end zone on that 2-minute drive at the end of the game with a chance for the potential game-winning touchdown.
Well, we talked to Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Rees today all about Shedeur Sanders and what he has planned for Shedeur on Sunday. He did what quarterbacks are supposed to do. He put the ball in the end zone on that 2-minute drive at the end of the game with a chance for the potential game-winning touchdown. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Man, I just heard what they said. I heard the clean version, the polished version, the version that's meant to calm everybody down and make it all sound normal. But I'm telling you right now, what we just heard does not match what we've been watching all season. Because something wasn't right, something didn't add up. And fans aren't stupid. They can dress it up with press conference smiles and smooth words, but our eyes don't lie. Our hearts don't lie. When you've been watching every snap, every drive, every sideline shot, you feel it when the energy is off. You feel it when decisions don't match performance. You feel it when the story they're telling sounds good, but looks bad. They kept talking about competition. They kept saying it was close. They kept acting like everything was fair and balanced. But when you watch the reps, when you watch the rotations, when you watched who got patience and who got pulled quick, it didn't look equal. It didn't feel honest. It felt tilted. And here's the part people outside don't understand. Fans aren't just watching stats. We're watching body language. We're watching confidence rise and fall. We're watching a young quarterback fight for respect, fight for belief, fight just to be seen. And when you see somebody grinding, staying ready, taking hits, standing tall, and still not getting the same trust, that hits different. Because we've seen this story before. We've seen young guys get labeled early. We've seen confidence crushed before it ever had time to grow. We've seen systems pick favorites and call it development. And when that happens, it's not just football, it's personal. You start asking questions. Why is he on such a short leash? Why does one mistake erase everything he's done right? Why does the word potential only apply to certain guys? That's when the doubt starts creeping in. Not about the player, but about the people making the calls. They tell us to trust the process. They tell us coaches know more. They tell us to wait. But fans live in the moment. We feel momentum. We feel confidence. We feel when a player is growing and when he's being boxed in. And all season long, it felt like there were two stories being told. The one on the mic and the one on the field. The mic said competition. The field said hierarchy. The mic said patience. The field said pressure. The mic said trust. The field said doubt. And when those two don't line up, fans notice. We always do. Because we're not just rooting for laundry, we're rooting for people. For young dudes trying to make it in a league that chews you up fast if you don't get the right chance at the right time. We're rooting for belief, for fairness, for moments that change lives. So when we hear the official version and it sounds calm and controlled, but our memories are full of confusion and frustration, we don't just nod and move on. We sit with it. We question it. We talk about it. Something wasn't right. Something didn't add up. And fans aren't stupid. We're not here to accuse yet. Not yet. But we are here to remember. to connect the dots, to say out loud what people were whispering all season. Because this isn't just about football anymore. This is about trust, about loyalty, about who really believed and who just said they did. And now the truth is starting to come out. Let's talk about where he really stood. Not where they said he stood, but where he actually stood when the lights were on and the decisions were being made. Because a real quarterback competition is simple. It's supposed to be equal reps, same chances, same patience, same room to fail, learn, and grow. You don't crown a winner before the race even starts. You don't tell one guy he's competing while treating the other like he already owns the job. That's how it's supposed to work. But what we watched? That wasn't that. We watched one quarterback get full weeks of prep, full trust, full rhythm with the starters, and we watched the other live on scraps, short windows, short leashes, no room to breathe. No room to build momentum. Every mistake feeling like a final exam. And fans saw it instantly. They'd say, "It's close," but the reps said different. They'd say, "It's open," but the rotation said different. They'd say, "Earn it," but the path to earning it wasn't the same. And that's how narratives get built. Quietly, slowly, one practice at a time, one decision at a time. Until the public thinks one guy is struggling and the other is steady, even if they're making the same mistakes or even when the so-called backup is actually making fewer. We've seen this movie before. One quarterback throws a bad pick and it's, "He's young, he'll learn." Another throws a bad pick and it's, "See, that's why he's not ready." Same mistake, different headline. That's how perception gets shaped. Not by truth, by treatment. And the locker room feels that. Players always do. Young quarterbacks especially. They know who the coaches trust. They know who gets pulled aside to be taught and who gets brushed off. They know who can mess up and keep playing and who can't. You can't fake that energy. If you're a young QB and you walk into a building where it already feels like you lost before you even got a real shot, that messes with you. Not your talent, your confidence. You start pressing. You start trying to be perfect. And in football, perfect gets you killed. You can't play free when you're playing scared. You can't lead when you're just trying to survive. And you can't grow when you're treated like a placeholder. Fans noticed how the system fit one guy better, how the play calls felt designed around one skill set, how mistakes were coached differently depending on the jersey number. That stuff doesn't show up in box scores, but it shows up in body language. You could see it in how he walked to the huddle, in how he reacted after big plays, and how he stayed ready even when the message felt clear: "You're not really our guy." And that's the hardest part to watch. Not the stats, not the wins or losses. It's watching a young quarterback fight for belief in a room that already decided who they believed in. They called it a competition. They talked about earning it. But earning it only matters when the field is level. This wasn't level. This wasn't equal. This wasn't fair. This was a storyline being managed while fans watched a different reality unfold. And the worst part? When you realize someone never really had a fair chance, you start looking back at every moment differently. Every mistake, every benching, every excuse. And the picture becomes clear. This wasn't a competition, it was a setup. The moment the narrative started, everything he did got heavier. Every throw wasn't just a throw anymore. It was a verdict. One bad read, proof he wasn't ready. One late pass, evidence he didn't have it. Meanwhile, somebody else could make the same mistake, and it was part of development. That's how it goes once the noise gets loud. And the noise was everywhere. TV panels, podcasts, Twitter threads, former players trying to sound smart, fans trying to sound right. Everybody had a take, and most of them were already decided before the ball was even snapped. That's the part people don't get. Once a label sticks, it changes how you're seen forever. You're not just playing football anymore, you're fighting a story that doesn't want to change. And imagine being young in that. Imagine knowing every rep might be your last. Knowing one bad throw could send you back to the bench, back to silence, back to being forgotten. That kind of pressure doesn't make you play loose. It makes you tight. It makes you think instead of react. It makes you hesitate. And hesitation in this league gets you hurt. People love to say, if you're good enough, it won't matter. That sounds nice. It's not real. Confidence matters. Trust matters. Feeling wanted matters. You can't lead grown men when you're not even sure if the building believes in you. So yeah, he made mistakes. Of course he did. Every young quarterback does. Josh Allen did. Jalen Hurts did. Trevor Lawrence did. But the difference is, those guys were allowed to fail forward. He was failing sideways or backwards. Every mistake felt final. Every bad drive felt like a closing argument. And still, there were fans who never let go. Fans who fought in comment sections. Fans who got laughed at for believing. Fans who saw the flashes and said, nah, I see it. I don't care what y'all say, I see it. They got called biased, called emotional, called delusional. But they stayed. Because belief isn't always logical. Sometimes it's personal. Sometimes you just know when somebody deserves more than what they're getting. That's loyalty. And loyalty isn't loud. It's stubborn. It's staying when it's ugly. It's defending somebody when it costs you social points. It's believing when the easy thing is to quit. And to be real, he didn't play perfect. Nobody's pretending he did. There were throws he wants back, reads he'd change, drives he'd redo if he could. But mistakes don't mean you're broken. They mean you're learning. The problem is, learning takes time. And time is the one thing he wasn't really given. You could see the weight on him, in his eyes after picks, in how quiet he got after bad drives, and how hard he worked just to stay ready for chances that barely came. That's not weakness. That's survival. He wasn't just trying to beat coverages. He was trying to beat expectations that were already set against him. He wasn't just reading defenses. He was reading faces on the sideline. He wasn't just throwing footballs. He was throwing his future on every snap. And when you play like that, when every throw feels like a test you can't fail, that's not football anymore. That's pressure, that's fear, that's doubt. And through all of it, he kept showing up, kept preparing, kept believing when other people stopped. Because he wasn't just fighting defenses, he was fighting doubt. When it finally mattered, he didn't shrink, he rose. After all the waiting, all the doubt, all the quiet nights wondering if his name would ever get called the right way, he stepped in and played like somebody who had been ready the whole time. Not lucky, not surprised, ready. And that's what fans felt first, not the stats, not the headlines, the energy, the way he stood in the pocket when pressure was screaming at him, the way he didn't flinch after a bad throw, the way he came right back like, run it again. Because that's what grit looks like. There were moments where the pocket collapsed fast, where the read wasn't clean, where everything told him to panic, and he didn't. He slid, he reset, he delivered. Maybe not perfect every time, but fearless every time. That's what people remember. Not numbers on a screen, moments in their chest. The throw he made after getting hit the play before, the drive he led when the game was slipping away, the way he looked in the huddle like he belonged there. He wasn't playing like somebody begging for approval. He was playing like somebody who knew he earned the right to be there. And let's talk about bouncing back. Because that's the real test. Anybody can look good when things are clean. But when you throw a pick, when you miss a read, when the crowd gets quiet, that's when you learn who you are. He didn't fold. He didn't hide. He didn't start playing scared. He came right back. That's not luck. That's work. That's the hours nobody sees. That's staying ready when nobody promises you anything. That's believing in yourself when the building doesn't make it easy. You could see leadership growing in real time, in how teammates started responding, in how guys fought harder, in how energy shifted when he stepped on the field. That's not something you fake. That's something you earn. Talent matters, don't get it twisted. You need arm strength, you need touch, you need vision. But talent without belief is just potential, and potential without opportunity dies quietly. What he showed in those moments was more than talent. He showed heart. He showed toughness. He showed that when the lights finally hit him the right way, he didn't blink, he burned brighter. And fans felt it. You could feel the tone change. Less arguing, more nodding. More people saying, "Okay, I see it now." Not because he was perfect, but because he was real. He played like somebody who had been counted out and didn't forget it. Like somebody who remembered every doubt and used it. Like somebody who wasn't just trying to survive, he was trying to lead. That's the shift. That's when frustration turns into hope. That's when fans stop defending and start believing. Because belief isn't about stats. It's about trust. It's about seeing someone face pressure and not run from it. And in those moments, those drives, those throws, those stands, he didn't look like a question anymore. He looked like an answer. Not finished, not complete, but real. Growing. Dangerous in the best way. That's when you stop asking, can he do it? And start asking, what happens if he gets the real chance? Because in the moments that mattered most, when the weight was heaviest and the margin was smallest, he didn't fade. He showed who he really is. This is his moment, not someday, not maybe right now. All the waiting, all the doubt, all the noise led to this point. A real chance. A clean page. A chance to finally be seen the way he's always believed he should be. And this is bigger than football. This is about being counted out and still showing up, about being doubted and still preparing, about being overlooked and still believing. Every snap from here on out isn't just a play, it's a statement. A statement that says, I was always ready, I just needed the chance. That's why this moment hits different, because fans didn't just watch him, they went through it with him. The benchings, the excuses, the debates, the jokes, the disrespect, and still, they stayed. That's what makes this real. This is why we watch. Not just for touchdowns, not just for wins, but for moments where patience finally pays off, where belief finally gets rewarded, where truth doesn't hide anymore, it shows itself. Because sometimes the league doesn't get it right the first time. Sometimes it takes pain before clarity, but when clarity comes, it changes everything. This moment can flip careers. It can change locker rooms. It can shift how people talk about a name forever. I'm not talking about some perfect stat line. I'm talking about impact, confidence, energy, direction. I'm talking about a team finally knowing who they are because their quarterback finally knows he belongs. We've seen this story before. Jalen Hurts was doubted. Josh Allen was doubted. Geno Smith was doubted. Every one of them needed one real chance, not half a chance, a real one. And when they got it, everything changed. This moment could do the same. Because when belief and opportunity finally meet, things get dangerous in the best way. Players play freer. Teammates play harder. Fans get louder. The whole building changes. And you can already feel it. The tone is different now. The conversations are different. The energy is different. That's what happens when hope shows up again. So here's my prediction, not with numbers, not with fantasy points, with heart. This moment is going to change how people talk about him. It's going to change how teams prepare for him. And it's going to change how fans remember this season. Not as the year he was doubted, but the year he broke through. Because once a player proves he belongs, you can't unsee it. Once a quarterback shows he can lead under pressure, you can't talk him back into being small. And that's what this is, a chance to go from maybe to him, and to the fans who stayed, who defended, who believed when it was ugly. This is yours too. Every comment you typed, every argument you had, every time you said, just wait, this is what you were waiting for. So don't let go now. Don't get quiet now. Don't stop believing now. Because the story isn't finished, it's finally starting to make sense. And if you believed when it was ugly, don't stop now.